Imagine that at this very moment a man is thinking of you. He simply cannot get you out of his mind. Your name pops into his thoughts several times a day, and even if he tries to hide it, or perhaps lacks the courage to admit it to himself, his body, his gestures, and his energy already betray everything. He is completely emotionally invested, but you don't perceive it. Why? Because you've been conditioned to pay attention only to words and promises. However, the true masculine desire remains hidden in a silent code that only a few women manage to decipher. Carl Gustav Jung, one of the greatest psychologists to ever live, made a surprising discovery about the masculine unconscious. When a man truly falls in love with a woman, something within him enters a state that is entirely beyond his control and begins to emit unconscious signals that are impossible to fake. The big problem is that 93% of women end up misinterpreting these signals. Genuine interest gets confused with games, or worse, they ignore a man who is completely in love simply because they don't know the hidden language of masculine desire. Have you ever felt that strange sensation, that instinct that something doesn't add up when a man says he's interested, but his behavior tells a completely different story? Or conversely, he's never openly spoken about his feelings, but deep down you sense there's a profound connection between you. This isn't a coincidence. It's not your imagination. It's your unconscious picking up signals that your conscious mind can't process. What I'm going to share with you today isn't about seduction tricks or manipulative techniques. It's something much deeper, the truth about what happens in a man's mind when he meets a woman who awakens in him not just physical desire, but a connection that transcends reason. There is a pattern, a secret language in the gestures, glances, pauses, and behavior of a man when he is truly emotionally invested. And from the moment you learn to identify these signals, you'll never again live in uncertainty or wonder about his true intentions. The big problem is that most women look in the wrong places. They wait for grand gestures, but it's the small details that reveal everything. Jung discovered that every man carries within him an archetype of the lover, a powerful force that, when awakened, transforms his behavior in a way he doesn't fully understand himself. It's not something he can fake. It's an instinctive reaction, deeply rooted in the oldest layers of the masculine unconscious. What I'm about to reveal to you now has the power to change forever how you view men. It will shed light on truths you may have felt intuitively but never fully understood. Pay close attention to what follows, because these signals are subtle but unmistakable. A man may try to hide them, to justify them, but his body and behavior will always reveal the truth about what he feels. The difference between a man who feels only physical attraction and one who is emotionally invested is vast. One disappears at the first obstacle, while the other becomes increasingly present. One creates doubts and insecurity, while the other fosters stability and trust. One lives only in the moment, while the other already sees you in his future. And these differences manifest precisely in certain behavioral patterns that Jung identified in his studies of the human psyche, behaviors I'm about to reveal to you, so you'll never again have to doubt what a man truly feels for you. The knowledge I'm about to share isn't found in ordinary relationship books. It's not part of everyday conversations about love. It's a profound understanding based on the comprehension of the masculine psyche, mastered by very few people. Are you ready for a revelation that could transform your love life forever? Before I reveal this knowledge that could forever change your perspective on men, I want you to do something very simple right now. Write the word perception in the comments to show me you're truly ready to uncover the truth behind masculine behavior. This comment is more than just an interaction. When you write that word, you are unconsciously preparing your brain to absorb the powerful information I'm about to share. It's like activating a key that opens the door to a deeper understanding. This knowledge is too valuable to be absorbed without the proper inner preparation. The word perception is the first step to deciphering the secrets of the masculine psyche that Carl Gustav Jung discovered after decades of intensive research into the human unconscious. Have you commented? Perfect. I'm now ready to reveal what happens inside a man when he truly falls in love. Get ready, because what comes next could forever change your view of relationships. Do you ever wonder why some women seem to effortlessly forge a deep connection with a man, while others remain trapped in endless cycles of superficial relationships? The answer doesn't lie in appearance, words, or conscious actions. It's much deeper in the ability to recognize and interpret the unconscious signals a man emits when he is truly emotionally connected. Jung, after decades of in-depth studies on the human psyche, realized that a man's behavior is influenced by forces far beyond conscious thought. For Jung, there are universal behavioral patterns he called archetypes, ancient images and structures inherited from the collective unconscious that shape our feelings, thoughts, and actions. One of the most powerful archetypes in the masculine psyche is that of the lover. When this archetype is activated deep within a man, something extraordinary happens. He doesn't just feel interest or attraction. He is profoundly connected on a level that transcends rational thought. It's as if something primitive and powerful awakens within him, completely changing his behavior, often without him fully understanding what's happening. The problem is that modern society teaches men from a young age to hide their emotions. Men don't cry. Be strong. Don't show weakness. These messages mark them from childhood and create a barrier between what they feel and what they manage to express. That's why many men struggle to name their feelings, even when they're deeply in love. But Jung discovered something fascinating. The body never lies. While the conscious mind can censor and control words, the unconscious communicates through body language and behavior, signals that are nearly impossible to fake. And that's exactly where the key lies, in the silent, secret code of masculine desire that few women know how to decipher. Think of a man you know who sends you contradictory signals. Maybe he says he's interested, but then days pass without a sign of life. Or perhaps he's never spoken about his feelings, but he's always there when you need him. Which of these men is truly emotionally invested? Words can deceive, but actions never do. There are psychological and biological explanations for this. Recent neuroscience discoveries confirm what Jung suspected. When a man is truly in love, his brain releases a specific combination of neurotransmitters, dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin, that profoundly influence his behavior without him being able to consciously control it. Dopamine, for example, creates a sense of reward and pleasure. When a man is emotionally connected, his brain associates your presence with this neurotransmitter, generating an almost addictive need to be near you. It's not a rational decision, it's a chemical impulse that draws him to you, even when he has other priorities. Oxytocin, known as the bonding hormone, is released during moments of physical and emotional closeness. It creates a biochemical bond that awakens in him the desire to protect, care for, and stay. It's no coincidence that a man truly in love exhibits protective behaviors. It's his biology responding to a deep emotional connection. But how do you know if a man is truly emotionally connected or if it's just physical attraction? How do you distinguish those who say what you want to hear from those who genuinely feel it? Jung developed the concept of synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that seem connected without an apparent cause. When a man is truly connected to you, these synchronicities happen more frequently. He calls you exactly when you are thinking of him. You discover similar life patterns. You seem mysteriously synchronized, as if an invisible force were guiding your paths. Many women overlook these subtle signals and focus only on the obvious. They wait for grand declarations of love or public displays of affection. But true masculine connection manifests in the small, everyday moments, in nearly imperceptible decisions, in glances that linger a second longer than usual. Imagine you're in a group and casually mention a book you read years ago. Weeks later, he brings up that book in conversation. This isn't a coincidence. It's a sign that your words resonate in his mind, that you occupy a special place in his thoughts. Carl Gustav Jung would call this psychic presence, when someone remains alive within us, even in their physical absence. The mistake many women make is confusing sexual interest with deep emotional connection. Physical attraction is instantaneous, based on chemistry and external stimuli, but emotional connection builds slowly, layer by layer, and manifests in consistent behavioral patterns that often go unnoticed. A man can feel desire for multiple women at once, but when he is emotionally bonded to a specific woman, his focus shifts entirely. He begins to see her not just as a source of physical pleasure, but as part of his life, his future, his identity. It's a profound transformation that reflects in all his decisions, even those that seem unrelated to the relationship. Jung believed that every person carries an unconscious image of the ideal partner. In men, he called this the anima. In women, the animus. When a man meets a woman who matches his inner anima, something powerful happens. He feels complete, as if he's rediscovered a lost piece of his soul. This connection goes far beyond external attraction or social compatibility. It's a resonance at the soul level. What's fascinating is that this connection doesn't need to be expressed in words to be real. Many men feel such a deep connection that words simply aren't enough to convey it. That's why they resort to actions, gestures, and nonverbal language, a language that communicates directly with their unconscious. The big question is, what are these specific actions? How do you recognize the clear signals that indicate true emotional involvement? What does a man do exactly when he's truly in love? Beyond what he says, there is a pattern, a sequence of behaviors that Jung identified in his studies on love and desire. These are universal patterns that transcend cultures and eras because they are rooted in the masculine collective unconscious. They are signals that cannot be faked because they emerge from the deepest layers of the psyche. These signals can be divided into three main categories that I'll reveal to you now. They are behaviors that don't just show momentary interest or fleeting attraction, but true emotional depth with the potential to grow and mature. What's surprising is that many men aren't even aware of these behaviors. They act driven by internal forces they don't fully understand. It's as if something within them compels them to behave in a certain way when they meet a woman who activates the lover archetype in them. We've now reached the pivotal point of this revelation. I'm going to show you the unmistakable signals that prove a man is truly in love, based on Carl Jung's findings about the masculine unconscious. These behaviors cannot simply be mimicked or acted out. They are involuntary manifestations from within, messages from the deepest layers of the masculine psyche. 1. The first and most powerful signal lies in his eyes. Jung discovered that the eyes are literally the window to the soul. When a man is truly emotionally touched, his gaze changes. It's not just a look of desire, though that may be present too. It's a look of deep recognition, as if he sees beyond your physical appearance and connects with your essence. Modern science has confirmed what Jung suspected. When we're in the presence of someone for whom we feel a deep connection, our pupils dilate involuntarily. This reflex is controlled by the autonomic nervous system and cannot be consciously controlled or faked. A man may say many things, but his eyes reveal the truth. His gaze lingers on you longer than necessary, as if he wants to etch every detail of your face into his memory, even in a crowded room. His eyes seek yours repeatedly, like an internal compass that inevitably points toward you. Even more revealing is when he watches you without realizing you've noticed. You might catch him looking at you when he thinks you're not paying attention. He observes how you talk to others, how you laugh, how you move. It's not an uncomfortable or invasive look, but one of genuine fascination, as if you were a living work of art that captivates him at every moment. 2. The second unmistakable signal lies in how he manages time and space. Jung recognized that when we are emotionally connected to someone, we unconsciously begin to reorganize our lives to make room for that person. A man who is truly emotionally invested does exactly that, naturally, without being fully aware of it. He creates space in his life for you, not out of obligation, but out of an inner need. He adjusts commitments, changes plans, and reorganizes priorities just to be with you, whether because you need him or simply because he craves your company. He doesn't disappear for days without explanation. He's not too busy to respond to your messages. He doesn't cancel plans at the last minute without reason. Even more significant is how he handles physical space. Jung observed that we tend to reduce physical distance with those we feel emotionally connected to. A man who is emotionally invested is naturally drawn to you. His body turns toward you when you talk in a group. His feet point in your direction. He discreetly finds ways to close the distance between you, not in an invasive way, but as if drawn by an invisible gravity. Pay attention also to how he reacts to your touch, even if it's casual. A quick touch on the arm, a brief hug. These small moments reveal a lot. Neuroscientific studies show that contact between emotionally connected people releases far more oxytocin than between strangers. This chemical reaction happens unconsciously and results in subtle physical changes: pupil dilation, slight blushing, altered breathing, increased body temperature. These are almost imperceptible details, yet they say more than words ever could. 3. The third signal, perhaps the most powerful, is selective memory. Jung noticed that our unconscious constantly filters information and retains only what it deems significant. A man who is emotionally connected to you develops almost a photographic memory for everything related to you. Things that others would quickly forget stay etched in his mind. He remembers conversations from weeks ago, preferences you mentioned in passing. He notices when you change something about your appearance, a new haircut, a different outfit. These aren't things he consciously memorizes. His brain automatically stores them because you've become a priority in his inner world. What's particularly telling is when he mentions things you've forgotten yourself. A dream you shared, a fear you confided, a childhood memory you briefly mentioned in conversation. When he brings these things up, it's not to impress you. They're simply etched in him because you hold a special place in his emotional memory. Fourth signal, deeply significant, is emotional vulnerability. Jung believed that a true encounter between two people is only possible when they remove their masks and show themselves as they truly are. Men, however, are conditioned from childhood to hide their feelings, to be strong, to appear unshakable. When a man begins to confide in you his insecurities, fears, dreams, or even failures, something rare is happening. He's lowering the shield he uses to protect himself from the world and letting you see who he truly is. This vulnerability doesn't necessarily manifest in grand emotional confessions. It often appears in small moments, when he shares a worry about work, reveals a dream he's never told anyone, or shows you a side of himself he usually hides from the world. It's as if he's saying, without words, "I trust you enough to show you who I really am." 5. The fifth signal goes beyond simply introducing you to his friends. Jung observed that we integrate into our own identity the people with whom we feel a deep connection. A man who is truly emotionally invested wants to include you in every area of his life, not just in intimate moments alone. He introduces you to his closest friends. He speaks of you with pride to his family. He invites you to important events, family traditions, and special gatherings. He doesn't hide your existence. On the contrary, he speaks of you with visible joy, as if you were a precious part of his life he wants to share with the world. Sixth signal, highly revealing, is future planning. Jung noted that our perception of the future is intimately tied to our emotional bonds. A man who is truly emotionally connected naturally begins to envision a future in which you have a guaranteed place. Even if you're still in the early stages, he makes plans that extend months or years ahead, plans in which you naturally appear. It's not pressure or expectation, but a quiet naturalness, as if he simply can't imagine a tomorrow without you. This becomes especially clear when he talks about his life goals, dreams, or vision for the future, and you realize he's already included you in them. Maybe he mentions your dream house, or talks about showing you his homeland someday. These words aren't empty promises. They show that he already sees you as part of his life's path. 7. The seventh signal, identified by Jung as one of the most powerful, is the protective instinct. This isn't about control or possessiveness, but a genuine heartfelt effort for your physical and emotional well-being. This behavior is deeply rooted in the masculine unconscious and usually manifests very subtly. He genuinely cares when you're going through a tough time. He offers help, not to impress you, but because he can't bear to see you suffer. He notices when your mood changes, often before you even say anything. He anticipates. He knows your needs, not out of obligation, but because your well-being has become a priority for him. Jung described this behavior as an expression of the guardian complex, a psychic structure that activates when a man encounters someone he considers valuable and irreplaceable. It's not a conscious decision, but an automatic reaction from the deepest layers of his unconscious, triggered by your presence and importance in his life. 8. The eighth signal, perhaps the most significant, is consistency over time. Jung recognized that we can fake almost any behavior for a certain period, but our true selves always come to light eventually. A man can simulate interest, attention, and care for a while, perhaps weeks or months. But when there's no genuine emotional connection, the mask eventually falls. A man who is truly emotionally connected remains consistent. His energy, presence, and attention stay the same. There aren't the typical waves of closeness and distance seen in superficial relationships. He's not intensely present for 2 weeks only to vanish without a trace. His behavior is steady, reliable, predictable, not boring, but honest. Now that you know these clear signals of a man truly in love, based on Carl Gustav Jung's findings about the masculine unconscious, the crucial question is, what does this knowledge mean for your life in practice? Because this knowledge isn't just theoretical, it's a key that can forever transform your view of love and connection. This knowledge has the power to radically change how you relate to others, the decisions you make, and the way you interpret the behavior of the men around you. If you have a man in your life who shows these 8 signals consistently over time, then realize this: it's extremely rare. Many people go through their entire lives without ever experiencing such a deep connection. What you hold in your hands is not just attraction or superficial compatibility. It's a resonance of souls, what Carl Gustav Jung called a meeting of 2 unconscious minds. On the other hand, if you're involved with a man who doesn't show these signals, or only shows them sporadically, it's time to be honest with yourself. This doesn't mean you have to end the relationship immediately, but you must recognize the fundamental differences between fleeting interest and true emotional connection. Many women waste precious years of their lives hoping that a man who feels only physical attraction will one day develop a deeper connection. But Jung teaches us that true love cannot be forced. It unfolds naturally when there is genuine unconscious compatibility. Perhaps you're wondering, what if he shows some of these signals but not all of them? Jung believed that true love is a complete phenomenon that influences every facet of behavior. Still, each person expresses feelings individually. What's decisive here is consistency over time and the authenticity of the gestures. A single honest action is worth more than 1,000 empty words or artificially crafted behaviors. Now, look at your own life. How many times have you ignored your intuition because a man said the right things? How many times have you believed in promises that weren't followed by genuine actions? The knowledge I've shared with you today protects you from being deceived again by empty words. or by your own hope that he'll eventually open up. The truth Jung discovered, and which I'm now passing on to you, is that a man truly in love doesn't need to be convinced to be present, to act reliably, or to show you he loves you. He does it spontaneously, driven by unconscious forces stronger than his rational will. If you have to beg for attention, set rules, or constantly question his feelings, that's already a clear sign there's no deeper emotional connection. But this knowledge also comes with a responsibility. If you recognize these signals in a man, then respond with the same authenticity and openness. Jung believed that true relationships are a dance between two people who fully reveal themselves to each other. If a man shows you his vulnerability, his openness, and his true self, and you keep your walls up out of fear or past experiences, this precious connection could break. It's liberating to be able to interpret these signals correctly. You'll never again have to wonder if you're reading his feelings right. You'll no longer have to rely solely on words. You'll develop an unshakable confidence within yourself, a clarity that lets you distinguish between genuine interest and superficial games. This understanding also brings peace to your heart. You no longer need to play games or use strategies to hold his interest. When you recognize that a man is truly invested, you can simply be yourself, knowing the connection is real, deep, and honest. At the same time, this knowledge protects you. Imagine how many broken hearts and disappointments could be avoided if all women knew how to recognize these signals from the start. How much time, energy, and pain would be saved if we could identify which relationships have real potential and which don't. Jung was convinced that a true connection with another person is one of the most profound experiences of human existence. It's not just about romance or partnership, but about personal growth, spiritual maturation, and reaching our highest potential. When a man shows you these 8 signals, he's not just saying, "I love you." He's opening the door to a shared journey towards self-discovery, inner transformation, and mutual growth. We've now reached the end of this profound revelation about what happens in the masculine unconscious when a man truly loves. Now I want to hear from you. Have you recognized any of these 8 signals in the behavior of a man in your life? Or perhaps you felt their absence in someone who claimed to love you. Share your experience in the comments. Your story could help other women going through the same doubts and insecurities you faced. If this content has opened your eyes to a new perspective on relationships, don't keep this knowledge to yourself. Share this video with friends who might be misinterpreting signals or investing emotionally in men who show only superficial interest. Sometimes, a single piece of correct information can save years of pain and confusion. Leave a like on the video so this knowledge, based on Carl Jung's findings, can reach more women. Your simple click can help others find answers about the mysterious dynamics of love and behavior.